Hello.
Hello.
Hi
So let's
all.
just
Good
wait.
evening.
Good evening. Let's just wait for ma'am to join. I have sent her a request. I'll text her. Hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Residency Talks. So we are just waiting for ma'am to join. I'm just checking. Let's see. Yeah.
Hi, Kshitij. Good evening and welcome to Kinnaur sir also. Kinnaur sir is here. Hi, Dr. Vignesh. Thank you, sir. I'm just here.
How do I direct it? Okay, this way? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening ma'am.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening.
So, good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Drashti Devani, member of IADVL NRCC, and this is our first Instagram live talk show, episode 1, in conversation with Dr. Rashmi Sarkar, ma'am. I welcome my co-host, Dr. Soumya Sachdeva, convener of NRCC, to invite ma'am.
Good evening everyone. So I'm Dr. Soumya, and today is the first session of Residency Talk. And we have Dr. Rashmi Sarkar ma'am with us, and everyone knows ma'am. Ma'am needs no introduction. Ma'am is the current president of IADVL, and ma'am is also a professor at Lady Haring Medical College. And ma'am has so many accolades that everybody knows. So welcome, ma'am.
Thank you
Ma'am,
so much,
you are
Soumya.
introduced.
And thank you so much, also Drashti. I can't see Drashti somehow on the screen. Is she visible?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm here. I
Okay,
hope
I can
others
see
can
too.
see.
I can see.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I thought I was pretty good in this, but apparently I can see Soumya and myself. So, but glad to be here, Soumya and Drashti, and I can see quite a few people, who've joined it much better than what we see in the other Instagram lives. So I'm very glad to be with all of you people.
So everybody, you are welcome to ask any questions. You can type it in the comment box.
Yeah.
So
Good evening, Vivek. Good evening.
we would
Yeah.
like to have it as a more of a non-academic session where we discuss common issues, and because we always have CMEs and everything academic, so we wanted to have a light kind of discussion. So let's just begin with the first question. Drashti, I think you can begin.
So, ma'am, my first question would be, how did you think of forming NRCC?
Yeah, see, Drashti and even Soumya for that matter, I must tell you the original name of the proposal that I gave, way back in 2014 or
Uh,
2013 when it was taken was actually IADVL Residence Welfare Committee, right?
right.
And that's exactly how it is in the IADVL Constitution also. And or it should have been called the IADVL Residence Committee. Somewhere along the line, I'm not quite sure, somebody added the word connect and then it became NRCC. But it's actually IADVL Residence Committee, or maybe it should just be National Residence Committee. So it means the same. But that's the original name. That's how it is in the Constitution. Okay, coming back to your question. See, what happened is, I note one thing is that I've always liked the younger people who are there in dermatology, having been a resident myself, and we had a lot of difficulties because sometimes you don't know what to ask, whom to ask. You understand? Besides your
Yeah.
studies, one thing I decided after I finished my residency was that if possible, if life gives me a chance, I'm going to make it much easier for the younger people, whatever I can do in my capacity, right? If everybody thinks that, okay, I've had a little tough time, let me make it a little less tough. So I thought that in IADVL, we have people, but most of the people interested are very senior. And what happens to the residents and the younger people is, you remain on the periphery. You're not really in the association because you're just there when an abstract has to be submitted. That feeling of ownership doesn't come. When does ownership come? When you start doing something within the association yourself, like you're doing now. That is when I met a bunch of residents, outside, I think, PigmentaryCon 2013 something. And we started talking. We made an email group. I didn't even know some of them by face. We floated, I asked them that, what do you people want? How do you think you can be a part of IADVL? In came a lot of ideas from residents from all over India. Probably there were 50, 60 people. Some I had never met, some I had met. And that is how, when the genesis of this plan came together with me and residents from all over India, and I made this proposal in 2014. The conference was the International Congress of Dermatology / Dermacon 2013. 2014 never had a conference. This is a historical fact because ICD happened in 2013 and we clubbed Dermacon. So there were 2 Dermacons in 2013. So that is how it was born. The idea was that it is going to be democratic for the residents, of the residents, by the resident. We don't have some senior really putting in, too much of an effort there because we wanted you to be a bit independent. We don't always want you to be under a senior. You are with the senior, but not really very much under a senior. That was the idea.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, so we all want to know that how do we manage so many things? Like, manage academics, manage hobbies. You've written a book called Bollywood Bhelpuri, and you manage all your hobbies also. You manage conferences, almost everything. So, ma'am, what are your tips for the youngsters in that regard?
See, I'd just like to tell you, Soumya, that probably it's not happened in one day, right? It may look like that today, because today it is maybe where I am, it looks like I'm doing many things, right? But this didn't happen right after I finished my residency or I was young, much younger, like maybe something like you, a senior resident. We had our hardships, we went through those circles in life. That was not when I wanted to do everything. It's by and by. It's over many years of work, many years of thinking how to organize things, and not wanting to give yourself 10 out of 10 in everything, by the way. See, if you want to be a good academician, you want to be in IADVL, believe me, you can't have everything perfect. Your house will not look like a dream, and other things, because somewhere along the line, you will not give yourself 10 out of 10. So that is where your 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 comes. So I think don't be too hard on yourself. If you're doing well in something, maybe 1 or 2 fronts do get neglected, as long as it is not your core family. Maybe your spouse, your child. Rest is okay. Some things can go easy. You can't get everything together. I didn't get everything together. It took us a long time, trying to establish ourselves professionally, trying to move into a, house or a flat from where I don't have to move, every time. We've changed so many residences and everything like that. So balancing, in my position doesn't really happen, because I'll be very honest with you, there is nothing like a perfectly balanced life. What is happening right now is that the balance is more towards the profession. All said and done, but you can't help it. There are so many hours that you're giving that somewhere along the line, you are giving a little less to your personal life. But at the same time, it's worth it, because at this point of time, I have a son who's grown up, right? He's in a professional college. And probably I am a senior professor. Maybe, I can do some few things of my choice, but it wasn't like this always. And, I've taken it as it comes. You can't get everything together. Maybe I didn't get a fellowship very early in my life, as you know. I got it a little later, Soumya, or somebody, one of you I was telling that day. So that is perfectly okay because I think that's your destiny. Some part is your hard work. Let me tell you, it is 70% hard work, but the 30% luck is also very important, right? Luck has to be also with you. You have to be at the right place at the right time. But yes, if you are at it, you take it in your stride, you're not very unhappy, things fall in place. So keep your chin up, and there is nothing like a perfect balance. But for people who are in early, career, like many of you are there, I would say that, your family life initially is important, building that up, maybe in the early part of somebody gets married. Do work on the marriage part, for the initial years. And even if there is a kid, no harm in giving 2 years, do other things. You don't have to be all over the place, but you can do simple things like maybe writing. You can sit at home and you will get some time to do that. So do it that way. Like you're not off. You're building up on your CV, but you're not all over the place. Don't worry what the other person is doing. If the other person is sitting in, Rome, or the other person is in, Thailand, don't go by the Facebook pictures and the Instagram pictures. Remember that you will be making your own Facebook and Instagram pictures. So everything will happen in time. Just go slow and steady and just be very mindful.
That's wonderful advice. I'm sure everybody would gain out of what they are. We have really benefited from your advice, ma'am. Ma'am, I mentioned about your book, Bollywood Bhelpuri, in my last question. So we all want to know about this book. What exactly is there in the book, and how did you think about it? And what we can look forward to in this book.
See, I've always enjoyed creative writing. I've always emphasized that we should have some hobby or some extracurricular activities. I know that we have to study a lot in medicine. Initial couple of years are very difficult, but keep your hobby on even if you do less of it. So one hobby you should have, and one sports. I'm bad in sports, but don't go by me. You should at least have one game that you play, So try doing that. You'll find that things are much easier, even if you do it less, because later on, somewhere along your life, that helps you. That helps you in stress management. That helps you, to maintain an equilibrium. This is exactly how I maintain mine. So I enjoyed Bollywood very much. I'm like a regular person who enjoys a lot of Bollywood movies. Hollywood, but not as much as Bollywood. I connect. And I like writing. So I combined the two. I used to write blogs for my, family. They would read small ones. Then I started sending to the dermatologist. And then I decided, why not piece it together in a book? I've always been interested in writing newspaper middles and stuff. That's how I came in. Last year, while it was a busy period, I decided to read about self-publishing. And one thing led to another, and gradually I took a little course, in, how to publish your book. I published, as you know, dermatology books, but this was different. This was non-fiction. You're targeting a different audience. So I wrote about the movies that I had seen and liked, not necessarily that you may like them, but I had liked them. Then I wrote about, maybe some actors or some incident in Bollywood, that had touched my life. And everybody enjoys them. So I wrote about it. So it's an easy read, It's an easy read, a breezy read. And I think it will be something that I would recommend that you carry with you when you're traveling, say on a flight or at the airport. It's a feel-good book, because mine is not about, trashing somebody and bashing somebody, but it's about the good parts, celebrating what we have in India. And that is, we do have Bollywood, which has made some really entertaining movies, So I think you can look forward to that. A genuinely feel-good, book on Bollywood.
Ma'am,
It's on Amazon. So just enjoy.
What is your current favorite movie? Bollywood movie, of course.
Yeah, I haven't seen many in the hall. I do watch a lot of OTT, but yes, I enjoyed recently Bollywood. Yes, the last that I saw in the hall was Brahmastra. And of course, there have been mixed reviews on it. I personally liked it because I went, thinking that I'm going to be watching something which belongs probably more into the Marvel world, or something like Harry Potter. And I wasn't very disappointed, because I think it's the child in you which you to keep alive. And I enjoyed it, I could think, that, okay, yes, maybe this, a straw, something it is connecting. Take it in the fun spirit. We don't have to always look at, what's not happening. It's not supposed to be a very realistic movie. And of course, I enjoyed another movie which is not Bollywood but dubbed, and I would like to see more movies like that. And that was actually a Telugu movie with Hindi subtitles. That was Sita Ramam on
Yeah,
OTT. I just enjoyed it. It was one of, my kind of a movie, feel good, romantic movies. I mean, we see a lot of reality. I love, those kind of movies.
right. Okay. So, ma'am, how to be a good administrator?
Yeah, actually, I don't know. There is nothing that teaches you to be a good administrator. I think Somya would be aware that we did have a strategic planning program this year. So they actually got to learn something about soft skill building. What is an organization about? Probably it's the first time you must have been exposed to something which is structured and organized, right? But I'm not very sure, whether you can be taught. I think administration is something, leadership is something you learn along the years. Remember one thing, that you have to basically build up people, right?
Mhm.
Your strength is going to be the human resources, the human beings that you have around you. And you have to sort of, first of all, help them in their initial stages, tell them, and later on, they are the ones who take the lead. So you should have a good team ready. And I think that's very important. When you have a good team, you're able to carry out the work. Remember that your homework has to be done well. So I did my homework, about a year back. It was all done, the paperwork, the everything was penciled in. And then, of course, I took feedback. Remember that whatever we are doing, we'll think it's the best. But you have to pass it to others to know whether it's good. That criticism is important. You don't like criticism right away. But you let it go down slowly over 1 day, 2 days. What happens is, on the second day, you realize, okay, there is some truth in this. Let me work on this. So I would do that, pass it through a bunch of seniors and middle level people and take their feedback, and then work on that, work on my proposals. And that is how I came up with these ideas. Administration is also, sometimes you have to, what should I say, give the other person a lot of respect, your team members. But at the same time, sometimes you have to choose between your duty and your friends. And I think when you are in the position of a chair, your duty does come first. So if you have to choose between what is easy and what is fair, most of us think it's 1 year. Let's do what is easy, what is pleasing everybody. Choose what is, right. Sorry, easy, and what is correct. Choose what is correct. Because you're going to be remembered for, what you've done, which is correct, rather than what you did was the easy way out. So administration is a lot of teamwork. It's a lot of delegation to the right person. So do study people. See that you have the right people for the right job. Now today, if supposing I have somebody, instead of Drashti, of course, Drashti is being picked up by the committee, not me, or say Soumya. And somebody who's just not interested in the residency. So you're not going to be getting these kind of interesting sessions or something like that. Similarly, if there's somebody in the media, who's really not clued in, doesn't know what a video looks like, how do you make those kind of posts, there is no fun, you cannot teach that person. So somebody who's passionate, you have to pick up the right people, build that up, and then, work around that. That's important.
Sometimes when we are in a leadership post, so there are people, even if we are doing the right thing, there are people who criticize for the wrong reasons. This always
Mm.
happens. I think the more, if you are just a person who is a person who's not in any kind of administrative position or any kind of position of power, everybody is your friend. But the moment you are at some kind of position of power, and even if you are doing a very good job, you will always have people criticizing for the wrong reasons. Of course, you have more of supporters, but there are some people who do criticize. How to handle such a scenario, and how to handle losing out people who were once your friends,
Okay.
and then you tend to lose them out.
It's very tough, because I've always said that if I leave my position, with, say 70% of my friends still intact, I'll consider myself lucky. Because somewhere along the line, you have to say no. You can't say yes to everything. Because, that's what administration is about. But what happens is, see, negativity is part of the job. If you're doing your job well, and you are taking some decisions which are little bold, you will stand out. You will be noticed because you're trying to, do something little different. You're trying to be a little firm. So do expect that there is going to be some criticism. It hurts, by the way. Nobody is born, or nobody is that talented that, we can take criticism. Nobody likes it. Even I don't. But then what happens is you have to gradually sleep over it, give it a day, 2 days. If you're feeling depressed, feel depressed. Say for 2 days, 3 days, it's okay. I give my period, that period of really going through rock bottom, hitting rock bottom. Then try to cheer yourself up with something, which you really enjoy doing. It may not be dermatology. That's where I say that things like hobbies are important. Secondly, surround yourself with those positive people. There is an inner circle, which we call it. It's an invisible circle. Always keep, those people who are your well-wishers, yet give you the right advice close to you. So you can fall back on them. They may not actually give you advice, but they will at least listen to you. Sometimes a person doesn't necessarily have to give you an advice, but somebody should listen patiently. So that is very important. I'm very grateful to those people that, if I want to say something, yes, I can say it. And they are there. And then after the second or the third day, Soumya and Drashti, you have to get back again on your feet. See, if you've chosen up leadership voluntarily, I think you have no right to feel so depressed, for 2 days, yes, and wallow in, self-pity. No, you have to get back, see what is not working, try to make those changes. And if it is working, then you give the answer back, but give it back with reasons. Sometimes, the other side may not know what is the truth. So I have always believed in talking and clearing the air. And I've always had an opinion. I think it's not from now. As a child also in school, some of us have our opinions. And we've spoken about our opinion. We're unapologetic about it. So we speak about it. As you grow older, it's more mature, It's not in the face. So if you feel that, yes, it was not right, speak it out, Don't be silent. Speak politely, courteously, but firmly with reason. And at the same time, if you feel that, yes, this was something which went wrong, let me think about it. Think about it. Take off 2 days, just think about it, get back and all that. There's nothing. Remember that the only thing important in life are your loved ones, your immediate family, and your health. That is the most important thing. Rest is okay, it'll come and go. It's a train. Tomorrow, I may be doing very well. Tomorrow, next year I may not be on the scene. So what will be remembered is the actions and how I stood, for it. So take trolling in your stride. Trolling and negativity is there. Remember that you have done something right. If somebody is doing that, means you've been noticed, there has been enough meat in what you're doing, to get that trolling. So don't be, really afraid of that. I think you have to stand up for it and keep your inner circle close.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question. Dr. Vignesh has written a question. How to choose the right career path, ma'am? One of my friends was wondering about their choice of subject in post-graduation counseling. Should you enjoy and stick to what you have or try again? That is what he has asked.
It depends on your personal type, Vignesh, because, personality type. Some people do not mind, they have two choices, or three choices. In medicine, I would always say, try to keep two choices handy, right? And, because you may not get exactly the same choice. If you really feel that I'm so passionate about it, I just can't do anything else, that is one personality, then go for it again. If you feel fine, I don't mind giving it, a try, and I'm going to like what I've taken. That's going to be the best for me. Then take it up, because ultimately, whatever branch you take, like dermatology is very good, but all of us know that dermatology is a great subject, but opportunities are less. I think you agree with that. Because you don't have so many jobs, in government service. Private practice again will depend, because there are a lot of dermatologists at this point of time. So there may be initial disappointment. So I belong to the type who believes that whatever I take up, no matter what choice, I'm going to make it the best. I'm going to make it work for me. And it will be it'll be the best. That's what I do. The other type would be, no, I don't like it and I just can't do it, to save my life. Then try once again, but second time round, be smarter, and just take it up. Don't waste your life, in more years thinking, okay, I'll do it, because there are ways and means, of making that work for you. As I told you, two things are important: your loved ones and your health. If those two things are there, you can make the best out of everything. So I think that's it. Look at your personality type. That's very important. Talk to your friends. What do they say about you? Talk to your parents. What do they say about you? Because in our eyes, we may think that, okay, I'm the best, see, I have an opinion. So get a good feedback from your friends, and even from some, people who may not like you very much. Sometimes even what they say is important, because they may be telling you, things which you don't want to hear, but, you can ponder about that. So I think it's important to take that feedback.
Ma'am, in line with this question, one of my friends asked the same thing, that I like the subject dermatology, but I'm afraid that what is the future or opportunities 5 years down the line in dermatology? Will there be any jobs, or I have to sit idle? So what do you think about it, the future of dermatology? Near and far both, I think.
Yeah, see, the seats have been increasing. So obviously, even jobs will increase, because as the population increases, even doctors, there are new posts being created everywhere. But still, dermatology being a smaller subject, although you can't say small now in the volume of work we do, posts will still be not so many as you get, say, for medicine or for anesthesia or pediatrics or surgery. You agree to that, isn't it?
Right.
It will never be so many. So keep your options open. Don't think that, okay, what if a job is not there? If a job is not there, then you will have to practice or do something. Only thing is, keep your expectations not very, very, very high, right? All of us, what's happening now with, so much of social media, we see the most best looking dermatologist on Instagram, always telling you, okay, look, we've done these wonderful things, right? Or they are on wonderful vacations abroad, or they are doing something always great, giving a lecture. Now, that does not happen in one day. That might have taken 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. It'll be less for you. So keep your expectations a little lower, and, it works out then. You're not going to immediately start and get, 25, 50 cosmetology patients. No, it doesn't work that way. Cosmetic dermatology patients are dermatology. You have to gradually build up your, reputation. So we do not know why the future of dermatology. We don't know the future of anything, isn't it? After COVID, can we really say the world, went period when we didn't know what was coming and going? So I think you have to believe in it, doing it, but once you've chosen it, don't, think of the negative points. Don't keep writing that this is not happening and somebody's, stealing my job and this and that, because you can't help it. Those things are there everywhere in every country of the world. So one can try to fight, those things, but ultimately, if your work is good, your medical dermatology to a certain extent, people come back, because cosmetic dermatology again is going to be something like 30% of your practice, 30 to 35%, if you want a holistic practice. So I think future of dermatology is bright. There's going to be a lot of technology, a lot of innovation, right?
Right.
Probably a lot of teledermatology coming in. And, we would be doing quite well globally. But remember that do not have sky high expectations. Remember that, this is where we are, and you're going to gradually build up your career over, 5 or 10 years. But yes, jobs are few and far, in between. Even if more jobs are created, the number of dermatologists are also increasing. So definitely there is a dearth of those permanent jobs. But there are private hospitals, corporate hospitals, and, peripheral areas, where you can think of doing your practice. That's what it is.
And somebody has asked about fellowships, international fellowships. So we also wanted to ask that. So is it worthwhile doing international fellowships, spending an year, spending 2 years, doing those fellowships in dermatopathology or pediatric dermatology or anything for that matter, ma'am?
These days, the trend is that, people are wanting to do fellowships. I don't think so. I think, if you've done your post-graduation really well, it does matter, whether you've done your courses well. What you should do is how you treat patients as something on the go. The fellowship just helps you by giving you another perspective, another experience actually. So if you have the kind of money, if you have money to spare, then you should think of going and doing those expensive courses. Otherwise, I think some of the things in India are good, like you have the IADVL observerships to start with, that is not bad. Doing a month of that, you get a feel and you'll get some hands-on experience. Abroad, they may not give you even hands-on experience. So it depends on what you want. Dermatopathology, we do learn, but if you want to really, dermatopathology may actually need about 6 months or 1 year, because it's something that, you have to do a little bit more elaborately. Same as, for things like dermatosurgery, but you do have a couple of fellowships in India. But at the same time, if you don't do it, even that is fine. You can straight away, you can learn from a seasoned practitioner. That is more important. Maybe just observe and see how it is, because, treating patients in private practice is quite different from what we have learned, in the colleges. So maybe that is more education, I feel. And then you should be on your go 2-3 years down the line, 4 years, 5 years. Once you know your mind that, okay, I'm interested in this, then pick up a fellowship. It is not necessary to arbitrarily pick up a fellowship and go, right now. I didn't do any fellowship, but yes, I learned on the go. And I did one much later in my life, which was more of an exchange program, because I could give something back. So yes, if you have the money, you have the family backing, that they don't mind you indulging for a year or two, and you don't have to earn immediately, think of doing the fellowship. But if not, then, please just go with the flow and do it when it comes. For girls, it can be a little difficult, because sometimes, marriage occurs. And you have to start looking after, your husband, your in-laws, everything. So again, go with the flow, keep an open mind. That also is an important part, you have to build that, make sure that things settle. Once you've invested in that, spend some time in your family life. They are the ones who are going to stand by you when you do your future fellowships and other stuff. So if you're intelligent, please work, on your family life in the beginning part, because if you don't do it in the beginning part, let me tell you, your foundation starts becoming weak. So rather than thinking, okay, it's early part, I have to do everything, work on the first few years, of your marriage, or, on your kids, maybe at least 2 years or something. Make sure you have a great ecosystem in place. How will you do that? Only when you build up a good, relationship with everybody. And then think about the fellowship. But at the same time, if you have a supportive family, they say, okay, go for it, do 2 years of fellowship. You're okay, even if you're not working, go for it. So look at your system, what works for you. What may work for you, Soumya, may not work for me. And what may work for Drashti may not work for Vignesh. That is how things are, So are you A, are you B, are you C, but D? But whatever you are, remember that, you are going to be a winner after 5 or 6 years or whatever it is, because it's your journey. So it's different for different people. But as I told you, if you're in the early period of your family life or something, do invest those, 2 or 3 years, because you're building a great ecosystem.
Ma'am, we've been talking for half an hour and we are really enjoying the session.
Yeah, even I didn't realize, I had told my husband
like
to work on something for 20 minutes and I'll come back, but I didn't realize that it was half an hour. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So I thought I'll ask you. So would you like to take another question, or would you like to?
Sure.
Okay, so there was one question in the comments. We can take that up, I think.
Yeah.
So I can't find it.
May I go ahead? Somebody has asked that what about focusing on academics in first year of residency?
What exactly do you mean by that, actually?
She has asked the focus of academics in first year of residency. That was just
because academics, so you have to focus, no?
Yes, exactly.
Isn't it? I mean, there's no way. Like, if you're a resident, you can't say that I won't focus. You just have to focus on.
I think she meant the duty and the academics. I think to study or to focus on duty more, or see patients only. Maybe.
Yeah, first year, what happens is you're usually given things like ward posting and other things, isn't it? And it does that, okay, where have I come? I'm busy doing this, I'm running around doing that. Maybe seniors are telling me. Believe me, it's part of the job, It teaches you for the future. This is the only training you have. So go with the flow. Learn in the ward. Again, keep listening. I think if you're a good listener, it helps you. What your seniors are discussing. I learned a lot by just listening, you know. So hear the conversation that's happening. Go back and read. I would always say that, initial in the first year, what I used to find pathogenesis very boring. Whenever I started off, I would sleep with the book in my hand. So you need not start with pathogenesis. First, go to clinical features, right? Do the treatment. Treatment part, I used to just love reading, and then go back to pathogenesis. You'll feel much happier, right? And do read, invest in reading, but read the parts that you're seeing. Like in the ward, you're seeing a lot of, patients. So even if you know those, 10 or 15 cases really well, not just the cases, everything about them, a lot of your practical dermatology is done. So don't feel bad about it. It's a part of the learning, it's humbling. But, it's part of it. If you've not been through it, it's, you will not become a better person in the future, a better doctor. Just like they say that, what is it about marriage? It's an outdated institution, isn't it? Many people believe that because it's all about earning and finances and independence. I think marriage teaches you compromise, it teaches you balance. And, it also is a bit of a humbling experience, You're treated like a prince or a princess at home, isn't it, by your parents? Our parents love us so much. Moment we go, we have to go to another place and we have to set up that part of the family, isn't it? It is a humbling experience. Same is also with your career, that you've come away from home, you're learning. In the first year, you're with different people. You're doing things which you didn't expect you would do. That's a part of, very important part, that practical part, how you're dealing with patients, how are you dealing with the people. People management and patient management is something that is going to stand, important for you the whole year. So read what is important, what is there in the ward. If you have seminars and journal clubs, the easy topics, which are more clinically related, focus more on that. Because when you start reading the basic, you read some part of it. Moment you start reading a cell, it becomes a bit boring. So come back to that later when you're more empowered. And you're more empowered when you've learned, the clinical features. So yes, it's very important.
So there is one, let's just take this one last question. It's a interesting question. Dr. Varun Kullar has asked, ma'am, as we all know, you have launched a plethora of unique things during your presidency. What is in store ahead after the presidency?
I think you tell me, I wouldn't really know, because in life, sometimes it's not always that you plan. Yes, you do think that, I want to do this at a particular time. I wanted to do my presidency at a time when I felt that it should be optimum. I can give back something to dermatology.
Yes, ma'am.
And to be very frank, I think I'm very happy to tell you all that I've been able to give back to my profession, not just from today, but almost 15 years ago. God was kind that I could give back. Giving back doesn't mean it's a huge amount. But maybe I'm able to reach people, or they are able to reach me, and I could spend a lot of time helping them out. How much they're helped, I can't say, but I tried my best. Now my time is a little less, but I'm doing other things. I do think that I will always be there in dermatology, always in academics, and I think I will be working in other societies. See, IADVL, I'm always there. You need me, I'm there. You'll always find me sitting, in that room during the AGBM and giving, wise advice whenever it is required. I'll always be there. I'll always speak, what I feel is right. But at the same time, I'd also like to work in other organizations. We do have the Pigmentary Disorder Society. We also have the Indian Women's Derm Association, which is just wonderful. It has a lot of good things happening there. And maybe in the international societies also, I would be able to give more time to that. And that's what I want to do, So I think you want to leave behind a legacy of, people,
Yes.
some young people who are really, really good. My own son is not in medicine, but I have this wonderful bunch of people, so many young people. Some I know very well, some of you who are close, some I may not know, but you feel that you know me somewhere, isn't it? You feel
Yes.
it is easy to reach out. What is it, So those bonds are there. Those bonds will remain. So that is give back. And I was very lucky that, I could do that. Very, I didn't have to wait for doing that. So I will be giving back to the profession in some way. I'll be around, but I'm sure that you may, you people are like fortune tellers. You should tell me that what do you want me to do next?
Ma'am,
And yeah,
you are
Soumya,
already a gem for IADVL for dermatology. I'm always in awe of how you manage so many things. I have to say that every time I ask ma'am for something, and I always think that ma'am is into so many things and she'll forget, but she always remembers even the smallest of things or the smallest of requests, and she'll make sure that it is done. So I'm always in awe of ma'am, and I'm sure she's a blessing and a gem for everybody.
Ma'am, maybe International Women's Dermatology Society's presidency.
well, let's hope there is something, but I'll tell you, Drashti, if these things happen, it'll be great. I'll enjoy them. If I don't, I think I'll still be enjoying because I'm going to enjoy, the family, the good friends I have, in dermatology and besides dermatology, and there'll be so many other things to do. It could be maybe reading, writing books, it could be so many other things. So I think there is a lot, you just have to look at life, and we are at a stage in life now that we should be looking more at give back. I was telling somebody today, rather than, taking, so try to give back and maintain that balance, So we'll be around. I enjoy what I do, so probably that is one reason that it looks good. Because I think the moment you enjoy, you don't, it shows. I think it shows because you're able to put in your positive energy. That is my advice to you people, that be very mindful when you're doing a particular thing, enjoy it fully. The moment you feel you're not enjoying, go slow, take some time off, come back again. That's it. I wanted to, Soumya and Drashti, there were a lot of people I could see who had joined. Could they just introduce, could they write their names? It's nice to see who all are there. I can see Priyanka. Priyanka Kodi is one of our students, who was in MAMC, and now I think she's in Bangalore. She's a consultant, a mother of two. And then, of course, there is somebody called Sri Vaidya. Then I could see Vignesh.
Yeah.
Then I could see Varun. But it would be nice if you just write, yeah, Kinor, I can see, such wonderful people.
I have some of
you
my
people,
friends.
many of them, you have a great future career ahead, whether it is Kinor, whether it is you, Soumya, because I've seen Soumya working really hard. And she was not, by the way, from my hospital. But, she's done great work, and I've never felt she's not in my hospital. Yeah, hi, she's saying, Priyanka. And Priyanka is the mother of two lovely children. And then, of course, Rashmi Sarkar. And, of course, Dr. Devani, who's a friend. And then Anushri. Shreya, of course, Shreya Devghare, who was there, as a mentee. Hi. And then this is Dr. Subhashri Sarkar. She's from IGMS, but first year resident. Great to have you people. We remember our residency days, and I'm really glad that we've been able to do this. If this bonding was there, you don't feel alone.
Yes,
So that's why I keep this as a regular feature. Soumya and Drashti and all these people, because it helps people to connect. Then Aditi and all these people, and if you, I don't know whether you've recorded it, because it's always nice,
Yeah, I
listening
think
to it. Yeah.
after the live session ends, I think there's always
Hello?
a
Yeah,
option
what did
to
you
share
say?
it. Ma'am, I said when
Yeah.
I end the live session, there's I think an option to share it. So probably if I get that option, I'll share it on the
Yeah.
Instagram
We will save it in the profile,
I
I
think
think.
it does get, yeah. And I'll share it on the page if there's an option.
Yeah, sound has gone down a bit. What do I do to raise it? I'm good in Instagram, but not so good. How do we do that?
I think the volume. I think
Do we
this is
close
fine.
it? Do I close my, or yeah?
Yeah, it's
Ma'am, it's fine for us. We can hear you the same volume.
Dr.
Okay,
SSC,
yeah.
someone says that, ma'am, whatever you said is true. Maybe we don't know each other well, but we know you somewhere, from somewhere, at least somewhat.
Absolutely, Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what I was trying to say, that it's very important that there's a connectivity. It's a
Yes.
bond, it doesn't have to be, it's that feeling that, okay, I can reach out, maybe she'll reach back. So these are intuitions, these are inbuilt things. So it's a great connection, which
In the
remains.
beginning, Yeah, in the beginning
Yeah.
of my residency, ma'am, I used to feel so alone when I was here.
Yeah.
But then became a member of, I became a college coordinator of NRCC, and
Yeah.
it opened me to so many opportunities and new people, and it feels so nice to be in a community connected with each other, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also the undergraduates which has come up, the undergraduate quiz and everything, I was so glad, that it was so
Yes.
well done. They were so good, So somewhere along the line, we have a lot to be happy. You can look after the undergraduates because even the NRCC can do that, because reason is that I found that there's a bonding there, Pediatrics always had a quiz, but we are happy now that in dermatology we have an undergraduate quiz. So I think I want each of you to promise that at least some of you people are going to be participating in IADVL and you're going to give back something to IADVL, in some committees or the others. So let's make this promise that besides our studies, we will also do something for IADVL, right?
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Yeah. And congratulations also to NRCC, or as I call it, the National Residence Committee for me. It's a single thing, but you people have been doing very innovative stuff, and you're not actually doing something which others are doing. Because that shows, because it has a lot of talent. So it's very original thinking. So I think keep those things on, keep the Resi Dreams, keep the collections on. So it's just wonderful. I think Kinor is writing that it has been growing. It's not 3 years, it's been growing from 8 years, I think, now.
2014.
Yeah.
Right, I
Thank
think.
you, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful.
Okay, then I think, I'd like to thank everybody who's joined. You had a better collection of people, on Instagram Live. So it was really good, Keep it on, do publicize this. Great.
Yes.
And have a good weekend, everybody, I will be going
Thank
to
you
the
so
ILDS International League of Dermatologic Society to Peru. We fly on Monday night, and I would be representing IADVL there. So thanks a lot. Need all your good wishes. Thanks, NRCC, and thanks, Soumya. Thanks, Drashti.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
joining
much.
us.
Yeah.
And I also
Bye.
thank our audience and
Thanks.
viewers for their active input and being here with us tonight. We look forward to the next session that is on 21st of October. I hope you all join there and you call your colleagues as well. So we'll have a greater connectivity and more people with us.
Yes, and those who are following
I
the
hope
page,
you've
please
taken the
share
screenshot or the pictures. You've taken that, no, Soumya?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'll just
Yeah.
take it. I have it now.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
It's been yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Good night. Thank you.
Good
Thank
night.
you,
Good
everyone.
night. Yeah.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Please send feedback, everybody. Great. Keep writing feedback, right?
Okay, ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
We can.
Yeah.